Have you ever just stopped and wondered if your life is already written out somewhere? For centuries, people have been fascinated with this idea of a heavenly mandate. The notion that when we're born, we're handed this unique blueprint, a whole set of potentials and possibilities that are going to shape our journey. In this explainer, we're going to dive into what that blueprint is and how people have tried to read it for ages. I mean, it's the ultimate question, isn't it? Are we just following a script that's already been written? Or are we making it all up as we go along? This question, it's right at the heart of everything we're exploring today. It's about that quest to understand the very framework of our own lives. So, what exactly is this heavenly mandate? Well, think of it less like a rigid set of instructions and more like a detailed architectural plan. It's the raw material you're given to work with, your potential, your challenges, a whole tapestry of influences that were set in motion the second you were born. It's the starting point, not the final unchangeable story. Okay, so how do people even try to read this blueprint? It really kind of boils down to two major paths. On one hand, you've got modern science, looking at our biological code. And on the other, you have these ancient metaphysical systems, looking for a cosmic one. This slide really puts these two powerful worldviews side by side. So over on one side, you've got science, giving us the genetic blueprint, your DNA, the traits you inherit, even what health issues you might be prone to. Then on the other side, you have metaphysics, offering a totally different kind of blueprint. It uses tools like astrology to analyze where the planets were when you were born to get at your personality, your potential, your life's big themes. They're two very different languages trying to describe the exact same thing, you. And believe me, astrology is just the tip of the iceberg. There's this whole universe of tools people use for self-discovery. Take numerology, for instance. It's all about decoding the vibrational meaning of the numbers in your life. Or feng shui, which is about arranging your physical space to align with your personal energy. It's a huge toolkit, really, but it's all aimed at the same goal, getting to know yourself. All right, theory is great, but to make this feel a little less abstract, let's look at a real-world example. We're actually going to decode a piece of the heavenly mandate for someone named Andrew, and we'll start with his astrological birth chart. This is where it all gets personal. So here's our raw data. For an astrologer, these three little pieces of information, the date, the exact time, and the location of birth, they are absolutely everything. These are the coordinates they need to create a map of the sky at the precise moment Andrew's life began. And this is a simplified version of that map. You see, each planet was hanging out in a specific zodiac sign, creating this unique cosmic cocktail of energies. For example, his sun is in Sagittarius, his moon is in Pisces. These are the fundamental building blocks. So the big question is, what does it all mean? Let's start with the sun sign. This is what most of us know, and it represents our core identity, our ego. For Andrew, being a Sagittarius suggests a life driven by a deep sense of curiosity, a real quest for meaning. Just this one placement in his chart points to a personality that's probably a bit restless, fiercely independent, and always pushing boundaries. But of course, we're all way more than just our sun sign. For instance, Andrew's ascendant is in Taurus. The ascendant is the sign that was rising on the horizon when he was born, and it's kind of like the mask he presents to the world. It gives off an impression of being stable, sensible, reliable. Meanwhile, his moon in Pisces reveals his inner emotional world, and that world is sensitive, empathetic, and gentle. See how these different pieces start to paint a much more complex and nuanced picture? Okay, so now let's see what happens when we look at Andrew's blueprint through a completely different lens. We're going to stick with them, but now we're leaving the stars behind and turning to the power of numbers. We're talking about numerology. In numerology, the most important number, the one that tells the biggest story, is the life path number. You get it from your date of birth, and it represents your life's main journey, your purpose. So, after running the numbers, Andrew's life path number is a 9. And let me tell you, the number 9 is an absolute powerhouse. It's considered the number of the humanitarian, the old soul who's kind of seen it all before. It carries these big themes of forgiveness, transformation, and universal love. And it's interesting, right? Notice how that restless, meaning-seeking Sagittarius from his astrology chart sort of echoes this old soul journey of a life path 9. Both systems seem to be pointing to a life of seeking and concluding, a path of deep experience and maybe service to a cause bigger than himself. But listen, no blueprint is all sunshine and rainbows. Every potential has its challenges. The harmonious side of a nine, being forgiving and wise, has a shadow side. If that energy is expressed in a negative way, it can lead to stubbornness, a bad temper, or getting really stuck in the past. It's all about potential, not a guarantee. So at the end of the day, the real value of this information is in how you use it. For someone with a Life Path 9, the blueprint suggests a journey that involves some very specific lessons. Learning to forgive yourself, learning to let go of the past, opening up and asking for help, and ultimately expanding your compassion to embrace everyone. It's basically a roadmap for personal growth. And this brings us right back to the big picture. We've looked at stars, we've looked at numbers, but what's the ultimate goal of trying to decode our heavenly mandate? It's really not about predicting the future. It's about navigating the present with more awareness. And honestly, this quote from our source material just nails it. The entire purpose of digging into these blueprints is to gain insight. It's about understanding your own unique design so you can steer your ship more effectively through the waters of life, whether those waters are calm or super stormy. So in the end, it doesn't really matter if you're looking at a DNA sequence that reveals your ancestry or a birth chart that outlines your cosmic potential. Whether you trust science or spirituality or some combination of both, the fundamental human drive behind it is exactly the same. It's the desire to answer that timeless question, who am I? Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If we are all given a blueprint, a map of potentials, strengths, and challenges, who is ultimately responsible for building the house? Is it fate? Or is it you? Who holds the pen?